show you anything because really it's not even important. I am, and I've admitted this many times, though probably know more than the average about Star Wars. I'm what we would deem as, or I would deem as a Star Wars normie. I'm not nearly as knowledgeable, not wasn't into it, as much as I was like Marvel and DC Comics. But and some of it's because maybe they're owned by the same parent company when it comes to Marvel. But some of it is with like what we're seeing to franchises, the same thing that a lot of you guys who are seeing this now, because there are some of you guys that are so done with like Star Wars, right? Lucasfilm, and like, all right, fuck those guys. And I get it. I respect it. I think that's a position worth having considering the things that they're prioritizing going forward. Consider what they did to Gina Carano. I completely understand. But now some of y'all starting to see who are off that bandwagon. Even if you were long-time supporters of Star Wars, you see what I talk about, for example, with Marvel, and that they jangle the keys like they did with Spider-Man. They jangle the keys in front of folks, and people will just up and forget what this company has done to you, what they've done to this franchise that you've loved, and what they've already admitted that they're going to do in the future. But they always keep something in the back pocket if they need maybe an increase in like a bottom line for right now, for the time being, maybe some hype. They always reach in the back pocket, and you are showing them, or many people have shown them. I'm not sure this is going to be I don't think it's going to be nearly as effective as what Spider-Man did. But according to people that I watch, yes, I watch a bunch of people talk about Star Wars, something I'm not like into it as I am Marvel and DC, but a lot of my colleagues into that. And I see their videos talking about like what's going on with this Boba Fett shit. And apparently there was something that showed up. And it's the reaching in the back pocket of the same goddamn thing, and it's called nostalgia. Now, it's effective. And I can maybe make the argument that it was effective on me at some point till I said, you know what, nah, no more. And then once I got off of it, canceled my pull list, and I'm like, oh, it's not so bad. But they reach in the pocket of nostalgia, and then that's how they expect to reel you back in, to get you hoping maybe there's going to be a change for the positive. When to me, all that is a test that the companies do, especially now, because you're starting to see a decline maybe in enthusiasm for these, like we see with Marvel and it's something in the back pocket that they say, okay, let's see if this still works. We show something that was part of this franchise that will give them the member berries, right? They consider what it used to be, the good old days. And if you eat that shit up, you're part of the problem, man. Now, sometimes it's just a flat out bait and switch. Not always, but sometimes it's a flat out bait and switch. It's like, here's the nostalgia. Here's the thing that really got you reeled in. And then they switch on you. We've seen that happen a couple of times with some of these franchises. This isn't even exclusive to Marvel, DC, or Star Wars, but it's the same thing. So this is, I guess, what I've been trying to convince people of is that you can't operate as if these guys are owed the benefit of the doubt. I don't personally think they are. I think they've made their goals and motives abundantly clear, especially with what happened to Gina Carano. There's an acceptable a line of thinking where you can have publicly. But if you're a raging authoritarian leftist, Pedro Pascal, basically all these Disney actors and actresses, like the chicks doing, I think, like all these people actually, they have the same positions. They can have those publicly. Now you have something to the contrary, they say you getting the fuck up out of here. Because they don't want to be associated. You see the slap Whoopi Goldberg on the wrist. They don't like you, okay? You're not a leftist, at least authoritarian leftist. They don't fucking like you. Get out, okay? They've told you. Now, I know, for example, with Marvel, Kevin Feige, Victoria Alonso say, yeah, we don't give a shit about source material. We're focusing on diversity and representation and other buzz terms that has nothing to do with giving good, accurate depictions of characters that have been developed for 30 years plus. See, they don't care about that because that's not what they're into. They're into other things. Now, what they will do every now and then is give something they got everybody conditioned even so bad now that people think, well, because it's not woke, that means it's good. Like I've said before, if anything, one of the worst things to come out this whole era is the lowered standards, where now the standard is not whether something is good, makes sense, honors canon, doesn't ignore the continuity aspects. That doesn't even matter anymore. Now it's not woke, therefore it must be. It's now good. You see, that's how they get you. So they've conditioned people, which is a win for them. But as y'all saw, as you Star Wars guys are saying with Boba Fett, we saw with Marvel and what I talk about all the time, is that nostalgia bait is used to then subsidize future projects. Okay, Marvel and Sony made a lot of fucking money off of though Sony made most of it. It's not like Sony is actually the beacon of righteousness either. Hell, if some people will make the argument in the film sense, they really kicked things off 2015, 2016 with the whole fucking woke buster shit. Woke Busters 2016. Nonetheless, they made a lot of money off that, and you're on crack cocaine if you think that they ain't using that to then subsidize future projects, to tell you how much they hate you or to ruin fucking brands, which is really what it is that they do for various reasons. So it's difficult to get people to focus on like the bigger picture here, because you want to see the good in something, or you want to, like, you're so attached to something. And like I've called it an addiction problem. Because that's what it is. It's an addiction problem. A lot of y'all got a fucking addiction problem with some of these brands, to where you're like, you can't get off of it, right? And but that's not helping. I'm an advocate of the parallel economy. I'm an advocate of not putting money in these fuckers' hands. What you bought is what you already bought. But at least going in the future, you don't have to go out of your way to subsidize. We ain't talking about like publicity. We're talking about specifically subsidizing them and going out of your way to reach into your pocket to do it, not some roundabout way of doing it. I'm saying you effectively are reaching in your fucking pocket and giving these companies money. What you expect from the shit is the dog shit is what you expect from the dog shit, but you can't fall for the member berries either. If you're in the interest of having Liberty win, this has to be your focus. And some of y'all need to be weaned off of whatever the fuck your addiction is to these brands. They're dead. They're dead. And they will give you a slither of hope by nostalgia baiting you. And nostalgia bait, let me end with this, because I remember when I did the Spider-Man video, when I was basically just explaining why I'm not doing a review, because I'm not going to see the fucking movie. You get people that you think nostalgia bait means, oh, well, it just means like they did some shit and it was like a bait and switch. I didn't say nostalgia bait and switch, you crackhead. I said nostalgia bait. So whether you think something's good or decent out of that nostalgia bait doesn't stop it from being bait. It's what it is. It's like tokenization. Tokenization is, whether you liked it or not doesn't make it not tokenization. And so whether you liked it or not doesn't mean it wasn't nostalgia bait. But if we want to change the tide, we got to build. And customers have to reroute the focus to the creatives that are good and trying to replace them in the eyes of everybody that's out there. That's the only way we're going to win. But how we won't be able to win, and how we're guaranteeing a loss, is by continuing to give these guys the benefit of the doubt, even though they have exposed their game plan to you.
You just listened to a clip from my podcast, For Cannon's Sake, which is live throughout the week at 12 p.m. Central on youtube.com/YoungRipper59 and odyssey.com/@YoungRipper59. Be sure to check out my website, ericdjuly.com, so you can stay up to date with everything it is that I'm doing. You can also become a member and get access to a bunch of cool perks and exclusive content, which includes a social media hub where you can interact with myself and other members. It even has an app that you can get, which is now live in the Google and Apple stores.